Please be nice to the Optimus robots.
I think it's very cool that witches go on paddleboards.
It's that time of year again when we've reached perfect fall foliage season. The trees are just the right mix of green and red and yellow. So for our question of the day, do you know why leaves change colors? Comment below if you think you do, and I'll tell you the answer later. The magic number to win the presidential election is 270 votes. But how's that possible, you might be asking? There are millions and millions of Americans. It all has to do with the Electoral College. It's not a college with classes, or dorms, or sports teams. It's a system the US uses to elect a president, and it's been around for more than 200 years. It's actually written directly into the Constitution. Back when the Founding Fathers were trying to figure out the best way to elect the president, they had two options. They could either let Congress vote, or they could let the US citizens vote. Instead, they created their own system we call the Electoral College that involves both regular citizen voters and members of Congress. Here's how it works. Every state has a specific number of people called electors. The number of electors equals the state's total members of Congress. So a small state like Rhode Island has 4 electoral votes, 2 representatives and 2 senators. But a big state like California has 54. So on election day in each state, whichever candidate wins the popular vote is then awarded all of the electoral votes, except for Maine and Nebraska. Those 2 states split up their electoral votes based on how their population actually voted. Add up all those electoral votes, and the first candidate to get 270 will become president. Every presidential election year, there's a lot of talk about whether it makes sense to keep using the Electoral College, but changing it would mean changing the Constitution, which is a pretty hard thing to do. So for now, it stays. From YouTube stars to lunch innovators? By now, you've probably heard about Lunchly, but if you haven't, here's what you need to know. YouTubers Mr. Beast, Logan Paul, and KSI have teamed up to create a competitor to Lunchables called Lunchly. It's an all-in-one package meal that includes a bottle of Prime, an energy drink created by Logan Paul and KSI, a Feastables chocolate bar created by Mr. Beast, and your choice of pizza, nachos, or turkey and cheese. Lunchly claims it's a healthier option with fewer calories, less sugar, and more electrolytes. But there's been some backlash since the launch with some pretty big names criticizing the product, saying it shouldn't be considered a healthy option when it includes processed foods and no fruits or vegetables. Fellow YouTuber Dan TDM, who said, quote, "This is selling stuff for the sake of making money, simple," told them to, quote, "do better." Logan Paul and KSI have replied to the criticism, and Mr. Beast posted this to X. Pause if you want to read. There are tons of taste tests and comparison videos on social with mixed reviews, but we want to know, what do you think? Are you going to try it, or have you tried it already? Tell me in the comments below. Let's talk about robots, because Tesla made a big announcement that showed off the future. Or did it? Last week, Tesla held its We Robot event that showcased 3 new technologies: the Cybercab, the RoboVan, and these guys, Optimus robots that actually went around interacting with guests and doing some simple jobs like serving drinks. We'll get to the robots in a minute, but first, the cars. The Cybercar and RoboVan see a future of full self-driving. This means 2 people can get in and nobody needs to drive. You plug in your destination and go. But there are similar concepts on the road already. Services like Waymo, who are owned by Alphabet, same people who own Google, or Cruise, which is part of General Motors, are on the road today. Waymo claims to currently handle more than 100,000 rides a week in Phoenix, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. But how do these cars work? Well, it varies a little in each case, but a combination of sensors and cameras watching traffic patterns work with the onboard artificial intelligence making adjustments, and in all of these cases, there's a human monitor overseeing rides in case something happens with the car or they need to interact with passengers or police. We're still in the very early days of robo-taxis and self-driving cars. On top of technological issues, there's government regulation in car manufacturing, and of course, the laws of the road.
The Optimus robots will walk among you. Please be nice to the Optimus robots.
Back to these other robots. These guys are a big deal because this is the first time anyone outside of Tesla employees have had the chance to interact with them, including rapper 2 Chainz.
Can you play basketball? Can you shoot like jump shots?
Maybe one day.
I'll teach
Can
you.
you?
I'll teach you.
Really?
Yeah.
The robots danced and played rock, paper, scissors with attendees, but there's a big catch. These guys weren't true robots, but they were more like puppets, operated remotely by humans wearing suits that translated their movements and voice to the units, which reminds me of the warning Tesla put out before the event started. Future results may differ materially from those expressed in any forward-looking statement. That is what it looks like when a building is imploded on purpose. The Tropicana, a resort and casino that's been in Las Vegas for more than 65 years, closed back in April, all to make room for a new Major League Baseball stadium for the Oakland A's, who are moving to Vegas in 2028. For safety reasons, no one was allowed to get close to the implosion, but in true Vegas fashion, it was a party. The implosion happened at 2:30 a.m., lasted 22 seconds, and had a drone and fireworks display. After all the rubble is cleared away, the city will begin to build the stadium, which is expected to have 33,000 seats and cost $1.5 billion. You know witches on broomsticks, but have you ever seen witches on paddleboards? Check this out on the Hudson River. It's part of a festival in Sleepy Hollow, New York, celebrating Halloween, complete with food, vendors, and people dressed up in costume.
I think it's very cool that witches go on paddleboards. Same.
This event has been going on for 5 years, and we met Katie, one of 160 people who dressed up like witches on the water.
I think Halloween is super fun, being able to dress up and enjoy being around people. Everybody's a little extra weird and a little bit more of themselves when they get to just express themselves exactly how they want. And I feel like this is an event that supports that. It like pushes people to be more authentic, and I love that.
Now we want to know, how does your town celebrate Halloween? Who or what are you going to be? Leave us a comment below.
I'm going to be a Deadly cosplayer for Halloween. I'm going to be a scarecrow. I'm going to be Dorothy.
And now back to our question of the day. How come leaves change color in the fall? The answer? Chlorophyll, or technically a lack of it. Chlorophyll helps plants absorb the sun's energy during photosynthesis and gives healthy leaves their green color. But that's not the only compound in leaves. There's also carotenoids, which make yellow and orange colors, and that's what makes carrots orange. And anthocyanins, which make red and purple colors. So as days get shorter and colder, the chlorophyll slows down and lets these other pigments start to stand out. And how do we end up with that classic blend of fall colors? Different kinds of trees, along with different amounts of water and light, will end up creating a mix of chemicals that make unique colors. And I never knew this, but depending on when it gets cold and how cold it gets, will impact how intense these colors are. For example, if it's cold but not freezing, you might see brighter reds. But if you get an early freezing winter, those reds will be much darker and more muted. The New York Comic-Con starts today. And if you're like our director Will here, you've been waiting for this weekend for a while.
Larry, it's not you, it's me. I'm leaving you for Comic-Con.
Who's directing the show? So if you're checking out the exhibits or showing off your cosplay skills, send us your pictures and video to hi@firststopnews.com or DM us on Instagram. What was that? I guess we're doing cutaways now?
For Comic-Con?